Welcome to The State of Us. Real people with honest opinions and the future of responsible media. Here's your host, Justin T. Weller.
Happy New Year. It's 2019, and there's a lot of things changing this year. We already talked about some at the federal level, like the rules regarding the Speaker of the House. Today, we're looking at something at the state level, though. From gun safety to straws and sexual assault, California has a slew of new laws coming down the pike this year. And so why do you care? Well, it's California, right? Maybe you're not in California. If you are, then obviously we know why you care. But if you're not, why care? Well, California historically, and our senior historian here in a moment, I'm sure can speak to this, has led the way on many issues. They've been that, depending on your point of view, that forward thinking or liberal thinking state, that often kind of charges forward with these things. And then a few years later, we see something at the federal level or other states, kind of following California's lead. So that's why we're looking at it, because ultimately these are the first step, and whether or not there's, trials against these are all the kinds of things that lead to Supreme Court fights that might affect all of us, or just lead to other laws in other states that will affect you directly. So that's why we take a look at it, because there's a lot of different things here, as I've highlighted. But of course, we can't begin this critical conversation on everything happening in California without our sick senior historian.
Your friendly redneck liberal, Lance Jackson.
Yep, it's like out in California, if you don't bring your own bags for groceries, they're 10 cents a piece. Or any shopping area. So
now, see, to me, that's probably a pretty smart a business decision there, right? Mm-hmm. Because you get to play up the environmental side of this. We're not using plastic bags,
right?
And it's free as long as you bring your own bags,
right?
We'll bag them, but you gotta bring the bags, which. And then on the business side, of course, you save all that money in these disposable bags that you got to hand people. So,
but that's just an example of a law that starts. I mean, they've had it for a couple of years now.
Yeah,
I think, and just gradually it will move inland. And like I know there are some low cost grocery stores around here that they have boxes and things that you can buy to put your groceries in, but otherwise
got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a way.
So these are laws that we may see here in the future across the United States, which is your point of why should we care what's happening in California, is that very often we see things in the next 3 to 5 years that spread from there or New York.
Right.
And then become law across the United States.
Bleed into other parts of the country, trickle down, whatever word or phrase you'd like to use. We're also going to look, since this is the first show of the new year, we're going to take a look at what our goals were from last year, see what we have to still follow up on, and talk about anything that we want to add to the docket for this year. So that'll be around the mid-show mark. We'll get to that a little later, but we'll get into it right now. So the first thing up, in full-service restaurants, you'll only be given a plastic straw if you ask for one. So Lance goes into, I don't know, give me a California restaurant, Lance. Where can we go there that you can sit down and eat? Where do you like to go?
Oh, sit down? Well, I mean, that's fast food, though, where I like to go. It's In-N-Out Burger.
But
it's a fast food.
What about it?
They don't wait on you.
Okay. Well, let's just say there's a Texas Roadhouse in California.
Okay.
I know. Probably not a great example, but Texas Roadhouse in California. And you go in and you sit down.
They've still got a Fuddruckers.
And okay. And
Lance, you know Fuddruckers?
I know them. I don't think I've ever eaten at one.
Oh man. Fuddruckers. Great place.
Okay.
Yeah. Nasty food, but great place.
Really?
Well, you buy a hamburger or a chicken sandwich, and then they give you like a salad bar of toppings, and you get to put anything on it you want. I mean, 4 different kinds of lettuces and tomatoes and peppers and relishes and cheese and chili,
build your own
and onions. Yes.
Kind of thing.
Except you have this huge burger that has no taste. You got all this stuff. So it's just like a burger salad, and
Lovely.
Same thing with your fries, and it's like, yeah, it's
okay.
That used to be a place we hung out when the kids were little, cause you could run their whole restaurant. But anyway.
So Lance gets, orders of water, right?
Yep.
Gets it in his glass. And typically in a lot of parts of the country, right, the waiter or waitress, they just pull out a wad of straws. There you go. Here's your straws, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes too many, sometimes not enough. Sometimes they count them. But you get your straws.
Mm-hmm.
And now in California, that's a no. You hand them the drink and then you walk away or you take their order.
Is my glass clean?
Unless, well, I hope so.
Yeah, see, I've gotten
that's a different health
I've gotten
department
a lot
problem.
of glasses that I would send back if I had to actually put my lips on it.
Okay. Well, that's a different,
that's why straws work. I mean, it's like, I'm not sure you got this. This one's pretty spotted here.
Yeah. So now if Lance wants a straw, he has to ask for a straw.
Yeah. All right.
Ever since Brett and I saw the exhibit, it's a small, I guess it's not an exhibit all its own, but at the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, in the aquarium section, they have a small corner devoted to the impact of plastic, and particularly plastic straws on our environment. Because obviously they're not biodegradable. They take, 1,000 years or something disgusting to get rid of, and they're filling our oceans, which have all kinds of implications, not just we're killing those animals that you've never heard of. Not just that. I mean, there's that, right? But also there's the air we breathe, the water we drink. These are problems as well. So I've been trying to avoid that where possible, but obviously it's also a feasibility thing, right? I mean, this doesn't apply to fast food restaurants. So you're going through the drive-through, you still need your straw because you still got a lid. If you're going to try to have that quick Burger King burger.
I mean,
on
maybe I just don't go to the nice restaurants, but I don't want a plastic cup without a straw.
Mm-hmm.
They'll give me a glass.
Yeah.
That I know has been through, I can tell is clean.
Right.
Then I don't need a straw.
Well, but the problem with your cleanliness thing though, the liquid's touching the whole cup. So how is it any different if you put your lips on it versus the liquid that you're putting into your body touches the dirty cup? I mean, isn't it the same thing?
Do you want to know the answer?
What? Psychological?
Because it is.
Okay.
That's what it is.
It just is?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Lance,
that should be enough.
Yeah.
I mean, if I say it is, it is.
Right. Well, that's what they're saying. You can still get your straw.
I'll get my straw.
Yeah. As long as the restaurant offers straws.
Right.
They might not. And if they don't, you don't have to eat there. That's how, right? Capitalism. And speaking of capitalism, that's my problem with this.
Yeah. Like those places that won't take my cash.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not on this law. So
there's two conflicting sides here. My quick, because we just have to move on and we'll let Lance say his piece, is I don't like when the government tells, businesses or people how they have to live their life as opposed to suggesting how they live their life. But I do think there are exceptions to that, because obviously we have all kinds of environmental protections. We have all sorts of restrictions on when you can buy things, how old you have to be. There's all kinds of things like that, right? I mean, the reality is the government dictates many aspects of our lives, what we can and can't do, or what we're legally allowed to do. We can still do it, but there might be repercussions. So in this case, despite the fact that I don't like the taking away of the freedom of straws, at the same time, I think there's a lot of environmental stuff I feel like right now. We can't afford to have the mentality of, well, other countries aren't doing it, so why should we? No, we're the leader of the world. We know the economic situation or the environmental situation is dire in the world, and it may already be too late. So we gotta start taking the steps. And some of that means that we got bad stuff like this that people might not like that we have to do. So, for me on this one, the environmental outweighs the small freedom. Because again, you can still have your straw. They're just not going to give it to you by default. They're not saying you can't have straws. You just not going to just receive straws, which for me is bad anyway, because at restaurants where I don't use straws, then I get one and they just throw it away because they set it on the table and it didn't even get opened. So save the business's money, whether they want to save it or not. So what do you think, Lance? Come on. You don't like this, right? You want your straw by default or are you good? You have to ask for it, but what do you think?
Why should the government intervene in any part of our lives?
Well, that's a different.
I mean, you said, well, we accept. No, we don't accept it. Some of us don't accept it.
Some of us don't, but enough of us do that we let those things hang around.
You mindless followers in the wilderness, go right ahead.
Yeah.
But drink whatever I want to drink. With whatever.
You still can.
I'll go buy my own freaking straws.
Well, you can do that too.
That's right. See?
And if you're smart when you're buying your own straws, you'll buy a glass straw that you can reuse because that'll save you money.
That's right.
You can do that. That's what Brett.
I can just throw them in the trash and kill Flipper. I don't care. You don't even know who Flipper is.
I don't know who Flipper is.
Jeez.
Is this your
generational?
Your
Flipper.
Is he a dolphin?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a show.
Okay.
Way back.
It was familiar, but it wasn't. I couldn't place it immediately. So sounds like a dolphin's name. I don't know why, but
I'm not a vegan.
Okay.
I kill animals.
So you're a no-go on this.
Meat.
Is that the deal?
Yeah, right. I'm not. I'm not going to worry about it. It's my earth. So what?
Well,
if it's not around for the rest of you, it's too bad.
It's our planet.
Yeah, well, it's mine too, right?
That's right.
So just because you want to save it doesn't mean I have to.
That's right. We have to divide the earth into the 8 billion odd pieces that it's divided into. Okay? This is everybody's little area. I got room in my place when people want to come out. Yeah.
I'm capitalist. The economy's looking bad. I'm losing money in the stock market. I'll sell off little plots of my land if somebody wants to come live there.
Okay. You'll go first on this next one then.
And I'll give them straws too.
There's a lifetime gun ban for anyone convicted of serious domestic assault. What do you think? Yay or nay? You like this? At first glance, right? I mean, at first glance, my thought on this was, okay. But then again, for me, this one goes back to Lance. I so struggle with this felon thing right now. The whole criminal justice system, this no forgiveness forever thing. I don't know. And at the same time,
didn't I do my time?
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it's, I understand that they have a higher chance of being a repeat offender, and I don't want anybody to be a victim of domestic abuse. I would hope that nobody obviously wants that. So I don't know. This one's tough. The straw one was easier for me.
Why?
Well, like I said, the straw one's easier because you still have the choice. They're not taking away the straw from you. Mm-hmm. They're just taking away the default straw. But you can still have it. It doesn't cost you anything. It's not like the straw is not the same thing, obviously, as somebody being assaulted. It's just not, I hope that for people, it's not elevated to the same kind of thing. I don't know. The lifetime ban, that's, I could see a ban, but it maybe a way out of the ban. I don't know. Maybe, is there something, can you do something? Can you take some classes
here's the whole thing.
I don't know.
I can commit a felony and never have used a gun. So what does my right to own a gun have to do with committing a felony?
So maybe it's a ban if you used a gun in the act of domestic
violence. It doesn't say that in the law.
Well, I'm just asking.
I guess I would be
make it more agreeable.
Yes, it would be more agreeable. I'm not saying I would necessarily agree to it in my libertarian, ill ways that I am this morning, contrarian ideals.
That's a fair point.
But I can commit a lot of felonies that have nothing to do with a gun.
Because I mean, if it's a domestic abuse case and say the wife beats.
Right, but can't I steal a car?
Beats her partner.
Can I? Isn't it a felony if I
we're taking away the gun and they didn't use a gun.
I deal drugs, but I don't carry a gun.
Right.
But I was carrying too much. Maybe it was for my own consumption. I just like to buy it at the first of the month because I'm a retired person. Uh-huh. And so I buy my whole stash at the beginning of the month. And then that makes me, and I don't know because I'm not into all this stuff, but if I then have so much on me that it now makes me a felon.
Yeah. What's your final verdict on this? Like I said, this one's tough because I
know what everybody, I know why the majority of people, I think, or a lot of people would say anyway. I'll keep pulling back with my number of people that says, well, they did a crime, so they lose their rights. And blah, blah. I'm like, again, it comes down to that whole thing. Is it punishment or is it rehabilitation?
Right.
And at some point, if I did a crime and you punished me and I did my time, why do I have less rights?
Yeah,
I guess that's where I'm coming from.
I know.
I understand the arguments, and I know they're repeat offenders, and I know all those. I understand all the arguments. I do. Yeah. Please here mid-show read. If you don't like us, tell us.
You got away, but
I understand your ideas, but I have a real hard time with if somebody's served their time and they've done what they were supposed to do, why then they don't have the rights of every other citizen.
It just seems to me like this one could have been a little more thought out. At least, maybe we get to this at some point, but why not start with serious domestic violence in which a firearm is involved? Then maybe I'm more comfortable living with it. But like Lance brought up the point, which I think is very appropriate. So somebody beats somebody else and we tell them they can't have a gun, but they didn't use a gun. I know they could use a gun. I get that. I'm just saying it's like we're just by default saying, well, even though the crime you committed didn't have anything to do with a gun, now you're not allowed to have a gun.
Yep.
Okay. So I don't know that I wish I could give a more definitive on that one, but as it stands, I don't know. Torn. Glad I don't live in California because I'm not sure. Okay. Secret settlements with employers for sexual assault or harassment are now prohibited. So you're at a corporation and there's harassment. Your boss sexually harasses you and the company wants to settle and they want to keep you quiet. They can't. They're not allowed to do that anymore. And you're not allowed. You're not allowed to do it either. You're not allowed to say to them, I'll be quiet if you give me X.
Why not? If I want to do it.
Well, the challenge here, right, Lance? The thinking here is that a lot of people who are in these situations, the statistics tell us, feel as though they're being forced into, and sometimes even told by law enforcement. Forget the company for a second. They're told by law enforcement that it's not likely that you will get anything if you try to go the legal route with this. So on the one hand, I guess
I see your point.
But on that same note then though, right? If they do this, now they can't settle in private.
Right.
So I guess I'm playing this out and I'm saying, isn't this almost more advantageous to the company? Because, okay, so it's brought out into the light and I get you got the bad PR, but now the only option for resolution is legal, for which the statistics tell us the company has a better chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
Because these things are generally speaking, are hard to prove. We all think of the high profile cases where there's these emails or whatever, or pictures, but most of the time that's not the case.
Right.
Most of the time it's somebody says something or they do an action and there's no definitive proof of it. No picture or video or recording. I don't know. I don't know if that's as big a benefit as it seems like.
I agree.
Because you settle and it doesn't come out. So the company quote unquote gets away with it, but you get a couple 100,000 or you get, 10,000 or whatever. You got something. Comes out in the public. Maybe you put pressure on the company and maybe it goes away but then maybe you don't get anything and you lose your job. Some of these don't seem, just sitting here gaming them out. I don't know. Do you have a strong feeling on this one?
I think it's a little bit of a reach. I think it's a case where we're trying to solve a problem that we have in a quick manner without being well thought out.
It's not addressing the larger issue. Right. This is like a lot of these, and I think that's where you're going to sense Lance and I's issue with them, they're like treating one of the symptoms instead of the condition.
Actually fixing the problem.
Right. Which again, if we can't fix the problem, then I guess I'm not opposed to trying to lessen the severity of the symptoms. But some of these I feel like we're giving up on we're not going after the right thing. We haven't tried to go after the right thing yet. We have a problem with domestic assault, so we're going to ban you from owning guns. Why not go to the start of that and try to figure out the domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's where I'm at so far on most of this. Is feels like we're coming at it from the wrong angle. Fast food kids meals must have milk or water as the default. Soda is only by parental request. So Lance walks in with his daughters are grown, but just rewind, 15 years ago. Walks in, daughter, that might not be enough time, right? 15. I don't know. Were they still getting kids meal? That'd be early teens, so probably not.
My wife still does.
Okay. I like it. And you get the toy. I don't know.
Oh, I get them too. If they give away a toy I like.
Yeah.
Oh, I try to get the whole set.
You collect them all?
I do. Yes.
Okay. Those commercials, they get you, right?
Uh-huh.
They got whatever. Collect them all.
You have to remember, I was little. That was cool stuff. I mean,
yeah.
You collected.
I thought so too.
You collected box tops to get your Daniel Boone coonskin hat. You ate certain kinds of cereal and stuff. I mean, that was a marketing ploy. You collected so many box tops of cereal and you could send in. I still have my Woody Woodpecker cup and bowl to eat my oatmeal and drink my milk out of that I sent in box tops for.
So Lance will give you his final thoughts here on fast food kids meals in a second. But before we do that, because of the time, Lance, you know what time it is.
Time, everywhere, time. Oh, it's signs. Sign.
It's time for the sign.
Time to read the sign.
That's right.
The sign says, our mission here at TrueChat is to educate people by providing honest, open, and respectful conversations. I'm being honest and open, probably too much so today. Not being real respectful. Sorry, folks. I don't feel good. I'm running about 102-degree fever here and trying to get through the show without having to leave to go to the restroom. So just a little bit too much information there. Hope you're not eating anything, but if you are, leeway. I apologize. So right. I'm being honest and open. I'm not being very respectful right now.
Yeah. So you were telling me the other week after you got back from California that you were thinking about having to move out there.
Oh, I know.
But I mean, look at it. We got a packet here. You guys can't see this, but we got, I don't know, there's got to be 25 laws.
Well, like
here.
I said, I don't eat at the restaurants where you have to sit down. That's
so it's not a problem.
That's too high price.
But now your kids' meals.
Right. I guess when my grandkids come out, I'll just have to order them a soda.
Okay.
And have the waiter or waitress look at me like I'm a horrible grandparent.
Okay.
Yeah, my little kid, my grandson, he's drinking soda. I'm trying to get those cancer genes going. He's lactose intolerant and your water here has too much iron in it. Yeah. So we're drinking the soda. Right? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, what do you do if you're in Flint, Michigan?
Well,
and your kid's lactose intolerant.
Well, I think their thinking is probably that, I mean, at least on the milk end, it's all coming, it's all milk is a prepackaged thing.
We're like, yeah, but if I'm lactose intolerant,
then you got to get the water.
And if I'm living in Flint, Michigan,
hopefully it's bottled. I don't know. They don't give me the detail here on this breakdown. We'll have to check. I don't know if it stipulates if it has to be bottled.
I know. Before you call in, Flint, Michigan, I know is not in California. I got it. But my whole point is,
if you're in a situation like that, you're going to force people to have the water. Maybe the water's not
Again,
good.
We're throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks to try to fix a problem that's deeper than what they're trying. I know what they're trying to do. We're trying to teach kids to eat healthy. And if their parents aren't going to do it for them, then the government's going to step in. That's not the government's job. The government's job is not to parent.
And my challenge then, by extension, we've had this talk before.
And I've told you I don't like those laws either.
I know. I'm just saying.
If my 11-year-old wants to smoke cigarettes, then I allow them. Who's the government to tell me that I can't do that?
And we've evidently decided that we live in a society where we have established and it's not real defined because this is another example, a base minimum of care, that in certain areas, if you fall below a certain threshold of care, then the state can take your child and say, nope, you are not treating that child in a way that society finds acceptable. And the problem is that people then use something like this, right, by extension to say, well, so if a parent decides, and when I say beat, I mean like actually beat, like, punch their kid in the face, cause them to bleed, like beat them. I'm not talking about spanking them or, whipping them on the butt with a belt. I'm not talking about that. That's I'm talking about like legitimately beating them, physically causing them like possible permanent damage. The state says, no, you can't do that. That's not okay. We're going to take them away. If we know about it, they're gone. They're not yours. You can't have them. And so if we're okay with that, then it becomes, well, what about all these other things?
I understand. I just said I'm not all right with that. Those scenarios you just said, I'm not all right with.
You're not all right if a child's being beaten by their parent to have the state remove them?
You know what I'm saying.
Well, I know, but that's the problem with this. Because I'm not saying that you're doing that. I'm just saying.
Then they've committed a crime. Okay. They haven't beaten their child. They've been abusive. They've been, what do we call that? If you beat somebody else up.
They've assaulted their child.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So they've broken a regular law.
That's right. You've already assaulted them. You don't have to have a specific law for children. You've already assaulted a person. You've assaulted another human being. That's against the rules. You don't have to have something specific for a parent to a child.
Except
you just charge them with assault.
You charge them with assault, but then you have the challenge of you have to do something with the child if the kid is imprisoned, because you can't. The kid is unable because of the laws we have in this country.
If the parent
is
imprisoned.
Right. Say the parent's convicted and they get put in jail. The kid can't just, you're just on your, we could do that, but the problem is we have other laws in this country that don't allow children to do certain things, So
we used to, and we let kids go to work and they had to make it on their own.
The mother, beats the 8-year-old and gets put in jail, and there's no dad and no siblings. And now the 8-year-old's on their own. We have laws that make it more difficult for the child to get by. Aside from certain states don't let you work if you're under a certain age.
I understand.
So then this one is.
And again, you've got more government intervention.
Yep.
Without really solving the problem.
Yep. Same place here.
There's a recurring
on the other
theme.
Ones. Yeah, recurring theme. We're treating a lot of symptoms, and we're not doing the hard thing and saying, what do we have to do to fix the problem? Because the problem is not that kids are drinking only soda and not learning what healthy things are and how to take care of themselves. The problem is that parents are not teaching children or educating them about taking care of themselves. That's the problem.
That's the dilemma.
Yeah.
And this you just said something I agreed with.
Yeah.
There's the problem.
And this just defers it. It makes parents lazy.
Exactly.
The government will tell me how I shouldn't do it. I don't know. I think it creates other problems. That's some of these is it maybe kind of helps one, but then there's this whole slew of other issues that I don't think it just fixes. So, okay, a couple other notable ones. Lance, you just pop in on these, okay?
Okay.
In between them, if you've got something specific.
All right.
Corporations, board of directors. This is SB 826. It requires public California companies to have at least one woman on their board of directors by the end of 2019. The requirement goes up to 2 if the company has 5 directors by 2021, or 3 if the company has 6 or more directors. Neither Lance and I are women. But I just like to point out, we're bringing on a new client and they're launching a new show. And it's called Leadership Reimagined. And the woman who's in charge of that show and runs an executive search firm has said that quotas are not the answer. That's all I got for this one.
Next.
I just defer to that. She said that quotas are not the answer. Bicycle helmets. So this is one that Lance flagged for us. AB 3077. Anyone younger than 18 not wearing a helmet on a bicycle, scooter, skateboard, or skates will be issued a, quote, fix it, end quote, citation. If the minor can show they took a bicycle safety course and has a helmet that meets safety standards within 120 days, the citation will be non-punishable. I'd say defer to the fast food kids meals.
Yep.
I mean,
I'm just saying, right? I mean, come on.
Same thing.
Now, more government intervention. I rode a bike. I mean, that's what's the matter with me. I rode a bike my entire life without a helmet.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I put on a helmet to ride a bike was when I got into a bicycle race. And
this
it was
goes
a
to
requirement for the race.
The seatbelt thing, right? All of this. It's not a danger to anybody else. It's a danger to yourself. And if you don't want to take the protection to keep yourself to be preventative, then why should the government make you do that? Okay. The end of cash bail. So this is one that I flagged because it was just kind of interesting to me. So the way this works, instead of putting up money to obtain somebody's release, people charged with a felony will go through a pre-trial risk assessment. If a judge releases them, they'd be supervised by a government agency or business contracted to handle that task. People arrested for most misdemeanors would be booked and released without an assessment. I like this because I've thought the whole bail thing, the pay money, if you're wealthy, you can avoid having to wait. I think the whole thing of holding people before their trial, I'm not crazy about that just in general. So this is a step, to me, this is actually a step in the right direction of addressing that larger issue of, well, you're kind of guilty, even though we haven't proven anything yet, even though a jury of your peers hasn't done anything.
Right.
I'm not crazy about that. I get the flight risk thing. I understand some of that. So I like that this kind of mitigates that, but it eliminates the money component. Because to me, that's always kind of been very arbitrary. Like, why is that? We're putting worth on these alleged crimes.
I can go with you on that one.
Yeah. So this is good. That one's fine. Vote by mail, prepaid postage. This is another one. I'm good with this. Voting's getting a little less expensive. Starting in 2019, the state of California, election officials must include a return envelope with prepaid postage when delivering vote-by-mail ballots. Local agencies can ask the state to reimburse them for the new costs. Okay.
Anything that makes it easier to vote.
Yep. Seems straightforward. SB 1448, doctor probation disclosure. So this is a Lance one. Starting July 1st, doctors who will have to inform patients if they are on probation before they can offer treatment. The law applies to physicians, surgeons, and it lists a whole bunch of others.
Yep.
A lot of medical professionals.
I want to know. If I'm going to see somebody, I want to know if they've had some trouble in the past. That's transparency, right? That's a big word these days. Transparency. Yeah. Let me know if my doctor's been in trouble.
I'd like to make it a little more narrow and probably confine it to things that you could make a very straightforward argument would actually have an impact on the level of care that you're going to receive. So in other words, if they're on probation for, shoplifting, I don't know, right? And they stole Cheez-Its. Do they need to tell me that? Do I have a right to know that? I don't think so. Probably not. Now, if they're on probation for having used illegal drugs, then that might be relevant because that could affect my quality of care, right?
I got you.
So again, a little more specific maybe. Gender identity on driver's licenses beginning January 1st, 2019. So effective yesterday, people applying for new driver's licenses or renewing driver's licenses will be able to choose female, male, or non-binary as their gender. So instead of the BMV choosing for you,
right?
You just tell them what you want it to say.
No, I mean, I have no problem with that. None whatsoever. Be who you want to be.
Yeah. Now I know, right? Something that people will raise with this is, well, what about the people with malicious intent who are going to try to do it to, I don't know, alter somehow their.
Okay. But any rule you have, that's the problem you have. Any law you write, any rule you make, you're going to have people who try to find a way to use it to their advantage. So you have to know that going in. That's one reason why I never had classroom rules.
Right.
Because if I had a list of rules and then all the kids did was just so I just said, well, I'm going to treat you the way you treat me. What does that mean? I said, well, if you come up and you're disrespectful to me, I'll be disrespectful to you. I'm going to treat you the way you treat everybody else in here. Oh, huh. And I got them to think, and they're like, maybe I better not do stuff because I'm not sure what I'm going to have. I mean, anytime you come up with any kind of, I know the way my brain works. Yeah. As soon as somebody tells me I can't do something, I try to figure out all the different ways that I can do it, but not do that.
Right.
And that's the problem you have when you come up with these kind of laws that are, just throwing darts at the wall and see what sticks.
Yep.
Instead of you're not really fixing a problem. And you can't be concerned about what other people are going to do. I mean, you have to because it's legal, but for the most part, you're trying to take care of an issue. And so I guess you're doing the best you can to take care of the issue. Do I think it matters? I don't think it matters.
Right.
But if for some people this makes them feel better, then okay, because it's what am I out? Whether I want to claim I'm male, female, or other,
doesn't affect me.
It doesn't affect me at all. I mean, I don't care. And if it helps somebody else, then okay, because there's no harm done to me.
Right. Now, they're going to say it's one of those identifiers on your license that ideally is supposed to make it easier for, say, somebody checking your ID to make sure you can buy alcohol, or an officer who's pulled you over to identify that it is indeed you.
Okay, so if I'm going to a costume party and I've got my makeup on and I'm wearing a dress.
Yep.
And because I'm a male, that's not normal attire for this part of the country. So is the officer going to have a problem when they look at my license? So it's here, you're a male and you got a bra and I can see the bra straps and you got a dress on, you're wearing high heels. I don't know. I mean, really? I mean, come on. Come on, dude. If I did a crime, why does it matter?
Take my fingerprint if you got any questions, right?
And I don't want to say other. What's the choice? Male, female,
or non-binary.
Non-binary. Okay. What difference does it make? If I was speeding, write me a ticket. It doesn't matter if I'm male, female, or non-binary. I was speeding.
Right.
Write me the freaking ticket. Why do you care? And why does it matter if I'm male, female, non-binary? If I'm not 21 years old, I can't buy that alcohol. I don't really get it, folks. You got to explain this one to me. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to go way off because I'm telling you, I don't feel good today. Honest, open conversations here. If there is such a place as heaven and I get to the golden gates, God looks at me and says, is he going to say, are you he, she, it? Are they going to say, are you male, female, or non-binary? I think they're going to say, no, you either did the right things or you didn't.
Yep.
I don't think they're going to have a big issue on what my gender is. Thank you. You can send your emails to TrueChat in care of Justin and the ethics committee to get me off the air. But really, folks, I don't think that the Almighty is going to worry about this kind of stuff. Yep. I think they have more things to worry about than this. I think they're really going to worry about how we treat one another, not who or what we think we are or we could be, or we want to be, or whatever. I don't think that's the big issue here. I think the big issue is how we treat one another.
Yep.
And that should be with a caring, open heart. And so whatever anybody wants to put on their driver's license, more power to them.
One way, Lance, that technology in the future is probably going to eliminate this type of thing is that for the most part, I imagine, I don't know, if it'll happen in my lifetime or not. I think it's reasonable that it could. They'll probably eliminate any kind of state or federal issued ID because they'll just use your biometrics as verification. If they need to check your age, aside from it being more reliable and less likely to be forged, there's no need for the gender or the height or the photo, which is outdated anyway, right? Because your license is good for however many years. I mean, it's, so it eliminates all that. It's you step up and you want to buy alcohol. They scan your fingerprint and it says here that you're 19. You can't have it, or it says here that you're 25. So you can. And it eliminates all that. You don't have to carry it. I mean, so there's things like that my guess is this kind of thing is going to become totally irrelevant.
The drone's going to figure
it
out anyway, right?
Yeah.
I'm not even going to have to have a card or cash or anything.
Yeah.
Because it's going to scan my eye recognition code and take it from my bank account. Right.
Yep. There won't even be cashiers. You just take what you want. The computer will know what you took. It will have scanned. It will have recognized Lance's face and it will charge your bank account accordingly. And that's where we'll end it today, folks. So let us know your thoughts on all of.
I got nothing else.
I'm done. That shut it down. He's too worried about the computers now. It's over. Him and his eagle.
It's over. It's a good way, but it's over.
It's over.
I'm done.
I'm done. So at TrueChat.org on social media, let us know your thoughts. If you've got an ethical concern, ethics@TrueChat.org. Email ethics@TrueChat.org. Ethics@TrueChat.org. So, and you can find TrueChat Podcast everywhere that fine podcasts are found. That includes places like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. So be sure to subscribe and take us with you wherever you go. And a special thing today, if you have not yet shared the State of Us with somebody else, please do so. And here's your other thing. If you haven't shared the State of Us with somebody this year, then please do so.
Tricky Dicky there.
Oh, hey, but I got my quota in because I shared it with somebody yesterday.
That's right.
So see,
so you did it this year.
I was thinking. That's
you
right.
got us a new listener.
That's right. That's your challenge for all of you out there. Let's grow. Let's grow the audience and help other people join us in these conversations. For the State of Us on TrueChat in Urbana, I'm Justin T. Weller.
And I'm Lance Jackson.
Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Be the change.